Starting today, at the end of every day, write down 3 positive things that happened to you. Why are you doing this? To train your brain to look for patterns, and in this case, positive things that happen in your life. If you do it regularly, it can be very powerful for self-care and for developing tools for communication and creativity. So is this just some feel-good, hippie mindfulness practice that you'll hear at a corporate retreat or an Anthony Robbins seminar? Nope. Believe it or not, this is a skill of improvisation, and it's one of 12 key practices taught by my guest, Pam Victor, in a program which she calls the 30-Day Happiness Experiment. This is only one of many workshops she teaches, along with hosting several weekly comedy improv shows, which you can find on happiervalley.com. Seriously, every independent artist should be as busy as she is. So let's find out where all this positive thinking and energy comes from. Here's Pam. How are you doing, Pam?
I am doing great. I'm doing great.
Glad to hear. Like I was telling you, I feel like I missed out. Today is Friday, and you have the Friday lunch and laugh sessions, and I was just a little too late to sign up for it, but I did sign up for next week, so I'm looking forward to that. Why don't you tell us what Happier Valley does and what you do? You have a very interesting job title. I'd like the listeners to hear your explanation of what that is.
The beauty of making your own company is you get to figure out your own title.
Yeah.
I am the head of happiness of Happier Valley Comedy, which is the first and only comedy theater and training program in Western Massachusetts. So we have 3 branches of our company in normal times. Non-pandemic times, that we have regular comedy shows, mainly improv shows that are happening at our theater, or were happening at our theater and will happen again at our theater. And then a full multi-level comedy training program, people coming in to take classes, again, mostly improv, but we do a little bit of stand-up, a little bit of musical improv, tiny bit of sketch. And then the 3rd branch is professional and personal development. So it's using the tenets of improv to help and support people with corporate training and personal growth.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me a little bit about the corporate training, just so I'm clear, I understand.
Yeah.
Will a company come to you and kind of give you their training program, and you develop it into a way of presenting it?
A company will come to me and ask me for help with something. So the things that I think improv is really great for, well, actually, I think improv is great for everything. Did you ever see My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
Of course.
Remember that movie?
Yeah,
ages ago?
Yeah.
Right. And the father thought Windex was the cure to everything. That's me with improv. Like, you give me a problem, I'll tell you how improv can solve it. So companies come to me. I work a lot about primarily with communication, collaboration, creative, innovative thinking, with trainings. That's the most that I end up doing with companies. And it's using improv training exercises and the tenets of improv in order to help with that. And in order to do that, one of the big things in everything that I teach is quieting the inner critic. To quiet those internal messengers of unhelpful judgment and fear, because that's it gets in the way as an improviser of improvising a show, but as a human being or a muggle, it gets in the way of communicating, collaborating, thinking creatively, brainstorming, amplifying our authentic voices, amplifying each other's voices, everything. The first thing that gets in the way is ourselves so often. And so improvisation has a great approach to quiet down those unhelpful internal messengers.
Wow. Yeah. Can you give a few examples or a few of what those tenets are?
Yeah, of what the tenets are? Sure. So first of all, to put it in an improv framework, we get up on stage, and my job is to be of service to the show. How can I be of service to the show? An improviser's mind is not in what my great idea is or what my funny idea is. It was sort of like a joke we always have. My mother always says to me, "Oh, that's funny. You should use it in your skit," which is drives me crazy because number 1, skits are not what I do. Number 2, I don't remember it, Mom, because we're improvising. So nothing that has come before is really of relevance. It's just how to pay attention to the moment. This is how I define improvisation: acceptance of the reality of the moment and the agreement to move forward together with positivity. So that's the tenet of improv. That's my basis. Acceptance of the reality of the moment. This is what's happening right now, which is different than what I might wish were happening, or often what I'm afraid is going to happen, right? That's all in my head. That's all story. What is really happening? How can I pay attention to that moment and accept it? Yes, this is what's happening right now. So we can move forward together with positivity. So that is, in a nutshell, the improv tenets. And then there are 1,000 things that, branch off of that.
Sure. So in a way, are you teaching people to better communicate with each other, or?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Keep going.
Keep
the
going.
answer will be yes.
Okay. Yeah. And I'll tell you where I'm coming from. I did spend a lot of time in the corporate world, and they do spend a lot of money doing this kind of training. I'm sure you're aware. How to identify personality types, how to work with people, how to identify, let's call them a stakeholder, using a corporate term, a stakeholder's needs, and how to be able to communicate with them in the right way. Same thing with, working with teams. When you're thrown into a new team of people you've never met before, everybody comes from different place. They might be different vendors, and they're all charged to put something together and make it work, right? Mm-hmm. They spend a lot of money on this kind of stuff. And it sounds like you're addressing it or not addressing it, you're approaching it using something completely fresh, which I'm trying, and I am a musician, and I do understand what improvising means in that setting.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to make assumptions about this and say, oh, it's just like,
mess it up. Mess it up.
Mess it up.
Okay. Let's mess it up. That's how we'll learn. I mean, that's what I teach, is that it's only a mistake if you don't learn from it, right? There are no mistakes in improvisation. There are only opportunities. And so what you're saying, I don't use business speak. I don't teach from, I've worked in the corporate world, but not a lot. But what I have is I do have the benefit of being a human being. Which is useful. And so I'm interested in just talking to people as human beings, because also often I find that I don't use any of that business speak, or I try not to. Sometimes I get caught up in it, but I try not to use it because I find it only puts up walls and barriers to keep ourselves, quote unquote, safe from being vulnerable. But the thing is, what I think is your most important tool in the business world and in your life world is yourself, your authentic voice. Right? So I want anything that could get in the way of you using your authentic voice is something that I'm trying to quiet down. So the inner critic, big thing that gets in the way of you using your authentic voice. The outer critic, right? How we criticize each other, that gets in the way too. So we talk about different techniques to how to quiet down that voice. We can't make it stop. It's a normal and natural part of the human experience, but we can get those unhelpful messengers of judgment and fear to quiet down a bit.
Yeah. So how does a company's culture play into that?
Yeah, right. That's what is getting in the way of us moving forward together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Acceptance of the reality of the moment and the agreement to move forward together with positivity. What is getting in the way? And so that's a conversation that I'll have with whoever the client beforehand of what is the culture of your group like? What happens when something unexpected happens? What works? What doesn't work?
Yeah.
And so we can sort of just figure it out, because it's all, you never know what's going to happen. I call it a Wednesday, right? You come in and you have your plan for Wednesday, and you got your to-do list. I love a to-do list. And then somebody comes in and just sort of drops a bomb on your Wednesday. And suddenly we're on uncharted territory. I don't know what my Wednesday is going to be. Everything has to change. What I thought was going to happen is no longer the reality. So how can I accept that this is what's happening on Wednesday and move forward together and with positivity? That's what I bring as an improviser.
Yeah.
So to do that, I use the guidepost of joy and ease. This is basic to my approach as an improv teacher and as a personal and professional development trainer. So these are my two guideposts in life. Where is the joy? Where is the ease? Right? How can I have this goal in life? I want to die having had more fun than anyone. But given the reality even if it's not the most fun thing in the whole wide world, how can I move forward with joy? Or if there's no joy, maybe just peace. Or how can I move forward with ease instead of swimming against the current? How can I just let the current take me downstream? This is where the moment is going. It's a very Zen thing, improvisation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. Wow. What did Happy Valley look like in January of last year? And what does it look like now?
Yeah, no, talk about it. It's been 2020 was the year of Wednesdays, right?
Right.
Yeah, I used to, I mean, you like just to even say January actually hits to the core, because last January we had what I had been thinking of like the world's best board meeting. We're a nonprofit. Happy Valley Comedy is a nonprofit. So we had this board meeting. I've been working for, I don't even know, 7 years or something like that to grow this company. It hasn't seemed to be possible to have an improv theater and training program in Western Mass. It's just, and certainly to work full time in it is just not a common thing. But it was this dream I had. I've worked very hard on it. I was able to hire another person. So it's like this, we've created this new economy where there's at least 2 of us getting paid full time. And then we hire teachers, and hundreds of people were coming through our doors last January all the time. We had 9 weekly classes. Our classes sell out very, very quickly. Most of our students are taking it not because they're interested in becoming improvisers, but because they say it's cheaper than therapy. Our shows were sold out all the time. I mean, like it was happening. Like I was meeting all sorts of all my points that I was hoping to meet, all my goals. And so we had this board meeting, and things were going so well that the board gave us we asked for raises because we knew the finances where things were going well, and we got like really significant raises, like big, nice. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm an improviser making, I mean, it's not like corporate dollars, but it was enough that I was like, oh, wow. Okay, cool. And then, we had all these ideas, like also 2020, we were going to be the year. We had been open as a theater for a year or two, our physical theater. And so that we were stable enough that we were starting to really be able to have the money to hire corporate trainers to work on diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is a big, like in order to diversify our theater is really a big goal for us. So all of that we're moving. I'm working tons though, last January, 50 hours. I stopped myself at 50 hours a week. And won't work, but I could have worked much more. So then my business partner had his second child on March 10th, which is cool. And so he was still on his paternity leave, or he was just starting his paternity leave on March 13th when we had to close the theater. And I know you know how it was. It was the same for all of us, where it was just like, he left. It was a Tuesday. Everything was normal. And then by Friday, I had to call him and be like, sorry to bother you. I hope your baby's fine. I'm closing the theater, had a board meeting. Theater's closed, bye. Wow. We lost all streams of revenue.
Wow.
All streams of revenue. Right. So yeah, that's what happened.
Where did you pick yourself back up?
So no matter what, I'm so lucky to be a trained improviser because I have this blueprint to fall back on. And it wasn't easy. There was like, I think I cried for the first 3 or 4 months. I mean, I could cry just thinking about it. There's so much loss. We're all walking around with like just so much grief. Yeah. But the job is to accept the reality of the moment. And it took me a while to get into acceptance of the reality of the moment. Like there still would be those moments. I'm like, okay, this is what's happening right now. We have no streams of revenue. Okay, we're online. Okay, yep, I do an art form that doesn't really work so well online. Okay, that's real. What else can we do? Given that reality, how can we still move forward? How can we bring in money? Like, what's the best thing for the company? And there would be moments that I would come out of acceptance. No, I want it to be the same, right? And the reframing is, the practice is, that's another opportunity to practice acceptance. Every time I lose acceptance is another opportunity to practice it. So I got a lot of practice with acceptance in March, April, May, June. And we tried all sorts of stuff. The other thing that we realized, my business partner and I'm the founder and president, and then my business partner is the artistic director and general manager, Scott Braidman. And we learned, I mean, there was Scott at home with 2 kids, a newborn baby. There were some health issues. Everything's fine now. But he was in this really intense place of his life with a pandemic. And so he went into freeze. That's what he does. He's a freeze. And I am a fight when I go into, like, I'm a doer. Like, I don't want to doing nothing feels too scary to me. So I was like, okay, here are 15,000 ideas that I have, 500 ideas. And Scott's like, nope, no, nothing changed. I don't want to do anything. So that was our process a lot. And so we got to practice what we call the spirit of yes and, right? How can you accept the reality of the moment? This is not the way, we don't want to have shows online. We don't want to have classes online, but this is our reality. So how can we move forward? So we tried out a lot of stuff, and some of it worked and some of it didn't work.
Sure.
And that's how we found out what has been most sustainable over the course of the pandemic.
Right. So let's talk about what those things are. What are you guys doing now? What's working?
So what's working now is, first of all, Scott left. He took furlough. So that was great for him. He was home with his newborn son for almost the whole first year of his son's life, which was great. Every time I see his son look at him, I'm like, okay, this was the right decision for our company, even though it was scary being alone. And so what I've been working on is the happiness experiment. Now, just to back up for one quick moment, my personal mission and our company mission is to share laughter, joy, and ease with the world, right? Through the tenets of improvisation. And so the job of an improviser is to ask, how can I be of service to the moment? So how could I be of service? How can I still facilitate laughter, joy, and ease? How can I still facilitate connection, growth, right? And joy? Given this reality. And the happiness experiment is what I came up with. And the happiness experiment is I provide 11 different simple daily habits and people that you could do in just minutes a day. And people pick 1 or 2 to do every single day for 30 days. And I provide all sorts of support. It's optional support. It's a self-designed program. But if you want to get an accountability buddy, if you want to have a one-on-one meeting with me, if you want to come to a playtime, there are all these it's a great menu that you could pick from to support your 30-day happiness experiment. The idea being that when we strengthen this positivity muscle a little bit every day, it gets stronger and stronger. And so then we have more tools for self-care, for resilience, for personal wellness, so we can go out and take care of the world.
Yeah.
That's a lot, I know, but
it is a lot. No, it's huge. So I'm sure you saw a lot of demand for that in the last year, right?
There's demand for it, a lot of.
Yeah.
Not yet. I mean, like, that's the thing. Like, that's the part that's heartbreaking, but I don't know the end, how the story is going to end. So I don't know if it's a bad thing, but we had a successful program.
Yeah.
Right. So now we're back to square one. So is there a lot of demand for it? I think there's a lot of need for it. Are people knocking down our doors? Am I have hundreds of people? No, not yet. Do we have enough people? Yeah, it's fine. We're doing okay.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, I think need is a better word. I guess I was thinking everyone, had a chance, whether they liked it or not, as you're saying, they had a chance to reevaluate what's important. What am I doing now? Do I still like this job? And that's if they're still treading water. Of course, there are a lot of people that had even more, severe impacts to that. And so anyway, I guess that's what I meant. Yeah, a lot of need for that. And
right now, we're exhausted. Right. Yeah. There's so much compassion fatigue. There's care fatigue, people who have been taking care of others, parents who have been home, bless your heart, with your kids for a year. So the idea is, like, if you're sitting there thinking, lady, what are you talking about? I don't have 2 minutes a day for self-care. Like, you do, then you really do. Yeah. Because if you're empty, how are you going to take care of anybody else? Same thing with, even if you're not a parent taking care of the kids, or I live with my mom, like, if you're not taking care of an elder, how can we take care of this world that so desperately needs us to stay awake and to stay present and to make people accountable, make our representatives accountable, we need to be full, right? Our energy and our positivity tanks need to be full in order to amplify other people's voices, and in order to work on the equality issues. There's just profound equality issues that are part of this country.
Yeah, right.
So if I could fill the tank to help people do any of that, wow, then my job, that's it. That's all. I'm happy.
Right. Far out. What is the biggest lesson you learned in the last year?
that improv is great. I knew that already. I mean, you could tell I'm like kind of crazy about it. But this is it is a worthwhile endeavor. The thing I've learned is reality can change at any moment, and it might not be the way we want it to be, but the practice is to accept what is happening and whatever it takes us to get us to do that, so we can move forward given that welcome or unwelcome reality. And hopefully with positivity, right? Hopefully with joy and ease. So if you're an event organizer, if you're an artist like me, we're not performing. Like, it stinks. I did a music fest. I emceed a music festival last month, and gosh, I mean, it's great to see people on Zoom. So cool. Lake Street Dive was on. It's just like, but here we are, like all little squares meeting together,
Yeah.
And so that's that's an unfortunate thing. But to me, I'm an optimist. But what is the joy of it? One joy of it that I think is amazing is, especially as musicians, like this pandemic has been a great leveler. When you're a little box on my screen, the person who is just starting out has just as big a box as Lake Street Dive.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So, and it's easy enough. It's easy for me to click on some fantastic artists who I adore, as it is for me to find somebody new. So I think there's so many cool opportunities for innovation and new artists, and especially people who are just coming up. They still have beginner mind versus us old fogies who are just like, that's not the way it's done. Right. We're kind of stuck.
Sure.
But if you're coming up, you're like, okay, I'm not stuck into the same groove. So what do I do now? Like, okay, I'll do something online. All right, I'll do a Zoom session or whatever it is.
Right.
So I'd say, yeah, we're all improvisers right now. And given the reality, how can you find the peace and ease to move forward?
Well, I can tell you from my own experience and from a lot of my friends who, again, are musicians, the way that they found that was to just continue to produce, keep being creative, keep putting stuff out there, keep writing. For me personally, in terms of writing, creativity, and just becoming a little bit better at my own playing, is probably the most productive year of my life in that way. Now, yeah, I am dying to go out and play a show and be in front of an audience and have someone spill their beer on me. I'm looking forward to it.
I can't wait.
But yeah, that's powerful. That's good stuff.
And I don't think you're alone in that. I mean, when I was doing the music festival and talking to all the artists, I was amazed by how everybody has written. I mean, musicians are doing it, they're actually using the time so beautifully. My kid is my eldest spawn, as she likes to be called, is a musician, electronic music composer, and has been writing a song a month, introducing a song a month. So it's just so great to be able to get off the wheel of that we've all been on so much. For me, as a performing improviser, I thought I would never get sick of performing improv when I started doing it. My well had no bottom as far as filling it with improv. But when it became my job, my well got full. And actually this time last year, I really wanted a break from performing. And it didn't seem possible. I couldn't take a break. It's my gig. If there's a show, I have to be in it. I've had a year-long break. I didn't think that was going to be possible. No way would that have been possible. So yeah, there you go. I got to
Okay.
refill my own tank.
Yeah. All right. So in a minute, Pam, I'm going to ask you to share your website, social media, and anything you want to plug. But before we do that, can you give one tenet for us to practice for the next week?
One tenet to practice. Let me give you a happiness habit that I practice. So I told you I present 11 happiness habits. The next session I'm doing is called Self-Care Through Joy, the 30-day happiness experiment. So I present 11 and then people pick one or two to do. You want to do all of them, but you can only do one or two every day. So here's one that you can practice every day. This is a small, simple thing. And it's going to sound so small, but you let me know how it works in about 15 days. So it's called Positivity Blueberries, and it's the #1 self-care and happiness habit. And that it goes like this: at the end of and you're not missing anything because this is what I talked about in the Lunch and Laugh today, actually. At the end of the day, I'd like you to write down 3 positive things that happened in that day. Now, it can be anything at all. I don't want you to judge your thing. It doesn't have to be a good one. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just anything. And if you don't have time to write it down, just think of 3 things. One thing that is helpful, and I'll tell you why I call it Positivity Blueberries in a second, but one thing that is helpful is to shake it up a little bit so it doesn't become rote. It's a mindfulness practice. So I don't want to get to dinner, the same 3 things over and over and over again. So if it is like playing guitar was your most positive thing, dig a little deeper and what exactly was it? What moment? And when I'm asking you to write down 3 things, I'm talking about it should take 1 minute. Literally take 1 minute. We're bullet pointing here. The reason I call it Positivity Blueberries is because I think positivity is like going blueberry picking. When I go blueberry picking, we have lots of blueberries out here in Western Mass. You first go to the bush and it looks like there are no blueberries. And then you see one of them. And then, there's another one and another. So that bush that seemed to be empty is, oh my gosh, it's full of blueberries because you get your blueberry eyes on, right? Because people are pattern makers. And so when we start to look for it, we find it. It's like us, those people who can find 4-leaf clovers because they've got that pattern in their brains, right? I think it's the same with positivity. If we're training our brains through daily exercise to look for positive things, magical things start to happen after a while.
Wow. All right. I'm going to get my blueberry eyes on.
Get your blueberry eyes on and then shoot me an email. Let me know how it goes.
Oh, absolutely. I will.
I call it an experiment because it's not a promise. I don't promise you'll feel happier at the end of 30 days, but try it out for 30 days and maybe it will, maybe it won't.
Yeah.
It's an experiment.
Right.
What do you have to lose?
Being unhappy for those few minutes, but yeah.
Exactly.
What's the trade-off? No, it sounds great. Awesome. Okay, Pam, thanks very much once again for making time to be on the show today. It was really educational for me. Go ahead and plug your website, Pam.
Yeah, you can find all of our stuff at happiervalley.com.
All right, cool. You heard it here, everybody, happiervalley.com. Check it out. You can sign up directly on the website for all the multiple workshops, and there's a lot of great videos and fun things that you can watch as well. Thanks again, Pam. You have a wonderful afternoon. We'll catch up with you soon.
I look forward to it. Thank you. And good luck to everybody out there. Keep making art.
Absolutely. Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
The 30-day happiness experiment is all about being mindful about where we put our energy. So we're giving our positivity muscles a workout.
We can really only be our best selves when we take care of ourselves.
Carving out a little bit of time for self-care all of a sudden just had this snowball effect.
It was a big happy that lasted longer.
And it just really made me feel a lot more aware of the happy things that were going on in my day.
It really did enhance my life.
Pam does a wonderful job of mixing up educational parts of this with making it light and fun.
I really looked forward to seeing these familiar faces.
You definitely do have time, and it will definitely change your life.
It took me from, I really do want to be happier, to a real structured approach.
It does not take as much time as you might think it does.
There is an accountability event, a playtime, a mindfulness, a meditation. There's a party at the end of the 30-day happiness experiment. I'll do all the heavy lifting. All you have to do is show up with a willingness to be happy.
It's not over in 30 days. 30 days is just the introduction. These are tools that you can use for the rest of your life.
I hope you'll give the 30-day happiness experiment a try. I would love to bring more joy, connection, and growth to your life. Give it a try. No, I'm just kidding.
That was pretty good.
Beautiful.